Every time we step into a hospital or even just a small clinic, we're literally surrounded by this incredible array of technology. From the simplest little tools to the most complex, mind-boggling machines. That's the world of health technology. But for most of us, it's a world it's pretty much unseen, right? It just hums along quietly in the background. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to follow a single patient's journey, and in doing so, we'll see just how this hidden world touches all of our lives. So if you look up the formal definition, it's something like the application of organized knowledge and skills to make our lives better. It's a really broad term that covers everything from vaccines to really complex surgical procedures. But as we're about to see, for some people, this isn't just some abstract concept they read about. No, for them it is a hands-on, minute-by-minute reality, where every single piece of equipment can be the difference between life and death. And that brings us to our guide for this story. Sarah. She's a clinical engineer in Kuala Lumpur, and her whole job, her entire world, is making sure that every single piece of medical equipment is perfectly calibrated, properly maintained, and ready to go at a moment's notice. Her world is right at that intersection where technology meets human life. And we're about to follow one really critical event entirely through her eyes. So the morning shift has just started, and then a jarring alert. A young man, the victim of a pretty bad car accident, is being rushed into the emergency room. The whole medical team just springs into action. And in these first absolutely crucial moments, the most fundamental tools are the first ones they reach for. A paramedic is already hard at work. A stethoscope is pressed to his chest, trying to listen to his breathing, while elastic bandages are quickly used to stabilize his injuries. Now, these tools, they seem so common, so simple, but they actually represent the very first and most fundamental category of medical devices. These items are what regulators call Class 1 medical devices. You can think of them as being in the lowest risk category. And that's because their design is super simple and they're non-invasive. They don't break the skin or go inside the body. They are the absolute foundation of patient care. But sometimes they're just not enough. The first look is done. The initial assessment is complete. But the patient isn't getting any better. His vital signs are really starting to worry the team. They need to look deeper, They need to see what the naked eye just can't. Okay, so the situation has just escalated. There's a suspected internal injury, and the medical team needs more information, and they need it fast. This means it's time to bring in the more advanced diagnostic technology. The call goes out for an immediate X-ray. And this, right here, is where Sarah's expertise becomes absolutely critical. It's her job to make sure that machine is perfectly calibrated and completely safe, ready to give the doctors the crystal clear image they need to make their next life-saving decision. The complexity and, the risk has just gone up a pretty big notch. An X-ray machine is a perfect example of what's called a Class 2 medical device. So notice the shift here, right? We've moved up to a moderate risk level. And that's because the design is a lot more complex. These devices often require special controls and oversight just to make sure they're safe and doing what they're supposed to do. And then it happens. The moment every single medical professional dreads. The X-ray reveals just how bad the injuries are. At the exact same time, the patient's heart rhythm becomes dangerously unstable. This is it. This is the critical moment. The fight is no longer just about diagnosis. It's about sustaining life itself. Right in this moment, as all the alarms are sounding off, you can imagine Sarah feels this immense, crushing weight of her responsibility. Every single machine she maintains, every calibration she performs, it has all led to this. The technology absolutely cannot fail. Not now. The team rushes him into a suite that's equipped with the most critical technology in the entire hospital. A life-supporting ventilator takes over his breathing completely. A defibrillator stands at the ready, poised to shock his heart back into a stable rhythm. These are the machines that stand on the very thin line between life and death. And this brings us to the final, highest category, Class 3 medical devices. These are the tools that carry the highest level of risk, period. Their purpose is often to sustain or support life, think pacemakers, or in this case, ventilators and defibrillators. And because the stakes are just so incredibly high, they are subjected to the most stringent, most rigorous regulatory controls imaginable. Okay, so let's just pause for a second and put this all together.
It's actually a pretty clear progression. We started with a simple Class I bandage, then we escalated to the moderate risk Class II X-ray machine, and we finally landed at the high-risk, life-sustaining Class III ventilator. 3 classes, each one defined by its level of risk, and each one playing a totally crucial role in this one patient's journey back to life. Hours later, the patient is stable. The immediate crisis has passed, all thanks to this incredible, seamless integration of human skill and sophisticated technology. So now, let's pull back from this one hospital room and take a look at the vast ecosystem that made this outcome even possible.
I mean, just look at this number. It's estimated that there are 2 million different types of medical devices on the global market. 2 million. That includes everything from simple lab reagents and software all the way to complex implants that go inside the human body. It's just a staggering variety of tools, all designed for one core purpose.
So what is that fundamental purpose? Well, all of these medical devices, all 2 million of them, they work to diagnose, prevent, or treat disease primarily through physical or mechanical means, not chemical ones. And that's the key distinction, That's what separates them from medicines.
But with 2 million different devices out there, how do we make sure they're all safe? How do we know they work? That's where regulation comes in. Countries all over the world have these legal frameworks, like Malaysia's Medical Device Act of 2012, to govern literally everything, from the initial design and manufacturing all the way to how they're eventually decommissioned. This system is like the invisible guardian of patient safety. So the next time you see even a simple medical device, maybe at a checkup or in a photo, remember the journey we took today. Think about the risk classification, Class 1, 2, or 3. Think about the massive regulatory system holding it all together. And think about the dedicated engineers, people like Sarah, working tirelessly behind the scenes. What unseen story of design, of testing, and of care is held within that one object?